I was 24 when I got married, and everyone was like, that's too young. Are you sure you want to do this? Kind of scaring me out of it. And that was like people that we knew kind of were like family friends and not actually like involved in our relationship, because we like to keep our relationship like very private. If people are like, oh, are you guys together? It's obviously like 100% that's my friend, but nobody really knows like the ins and outs of our relationship because that just kind of like made it better. So we had people that were telling me, they're like, you're too young to get married. You're only 24. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you guys are going to lose your mind when I tell you my husband's only 20 and we're getting married. So we do have that little bit of an age gap, but I noticed when we were planning, people were like, this is going to be the most stressful day of your life. You're not going to remember anything. It's going to be so much to try to plan. And we had the complete opposite experience with that. His granddad has Alzheimer's, so we wanted to keep the wedding very, very small. We're both very introverted too, so that was really weird branching out and doing TikTok for me because I'm like, I have a lot of people watching me right now, so this is very different. But we had a very small wedding. We had less than 50 people there. It was family only. We did no wedding parties. I think we had a lot of things that were considered traditional that we didn't do that people were like, are you sure about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's so interesting when people put their own like pressures and expectations on other people because it's
Yeah.
like you don't know their relationship, you don't know their personality or what they want to showcase in their wedding. And I think it's so interesting. Like, I had the same thing where people were constantly like, oh, you're gonna stress out so much. You need to do this and you do that. And I think I love that you like set your boundaries of like, nope, this is what I'm doing. This is what makes sense for us because it's so important to be on the same page as your partner and everyone else will come in. You don't have to change things for everybody else. And I think that's hard for people pleasers a lot of times.
And we didn't want our wedding day to like be stressful like that. So I don't know if I've told anyone in my family this, but my brother was our officiant for the wedding just because we, again, wanted to keep it a small family wedding. And we signed our papers and everything, but those weren't our real papers. So we actually got married a different day. We went down to the courthouse, like we're in sweatpants, and that's how we got married. And that was just a lot easier for us, and it made everything go kind of a lot smoother because it was kind of already done. So we
Mm.
were like, just need to breathe and have a good day. And it was fairly simple. The place that we got married to, it was like a family run business, and they just opened up their wedding venue that year. So it probably, like, if it was in a big city, the venue itself probably would have been like $20,000, $30,000. But just because we wanted a small countryside wedding and everything like that, I think it was like $6,000.
That's
So we are
amazing.
like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you like knew what you guys wanted to do, and I think that's amazing. I think it's so easy to get caught up in like a million opinions around you, and I find brides are most like confident and happy with their wedding day when they stay true to themselves because I see it in the comments all the time, and I'm sure you see it in your comments too of people being like, I wish I would have done that. Oh, I hate that this person told me to do this. Oh, this person came in and somebody need to do it this way, and then they have all this regret. They're like, I never wanted this. So I think it's so important.
Sorry. I think that we had a lot of people trying to tell us what to do too, because I'm the youngest in my family. I have two older brothers, so I'm the only girl. He's the youngest in his family. He has two older brothers. So I'm the only girl that's getting married. We're both the babies of our family that are getting married, and we're the first ones to get married. So everyone was like, oh, we'll plan everything for you guys. Because we originally said that we didn't really want to have a wedding because we just wanted to build a house and start life. And they're like, no, you need to celebrate.
You took a little bit and then you're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do then. Okay,
Exactly.
I want to jump into some of your own stories that you might have heard or your wedding hot takes. So first, I know you kind of said the mother-in-law story that was sent to you. Do you have any, like as a wedding guest or being a part of a wedding, have a crazy story or something you've heard that whether it's tied to weddings or not, that you were just like your jaw dropped?
I think my first year that I moved out to Georgia, I went to a wedding because I grew up in Arizona, had never left the state. And then in the middle of COVID, I was like, I'm going to move all the way across the country and go to school in Georgia. So I went out there. It was my first year. I was working at a country club. So I met a lot of the members and everything like that. So I got invited to a wedding as a plus one. And the ceremony that we were at, it was very nice, very pretty. And then it gets to the reception. And that's kind of when I was like, oh, okay. It was kind of rave techno theme going on. I was like, this is really cool. I've never seen anything like this before. And then they make the announcement. They're like, the open bar is officially open, so you guys can go crazy. And I'm sitting there, and I personally don't ever drink. I've seen people had a lot of bad experiences with alcohol, and I'm like, I'll stay away from that. And I kid you not, it probably wasn't even in like 2 hours into this wedding because the ceremony was at 5 o'clock. So this is around like 7 o'clock, and it's supposed to go till 2 in the morning, I think they said. And people were already completely wasted. So I'm like, oh, that's not a good look. And I'm taking notes of everything. I'm like, I know I don't want that. We didn't have any alcohol at our wedding. It was dry. So I was like, I don't know if that's the best look. So the best man gets up to give his speech, and he, very intoxicated, is saying all the wrong stuff, slurring his speeches, everything like that. And the groom got up and he's like, hey, like, I'm just gonna take the mic. We're gonna sit down. It's okay. And he shoves the groom back and he falls onto the table with the cake. So the
No.
cake goes on the groom, and we're sitting there like,
Is this happening right now?
I literally sat there and I looked at the person I was a plus one with. I was like, and he's sitting there. He has a martini. He's just sitting there. He's like, oh. And I'm like, you should not be making sound effects right now. I'm like, we need to go. Like, this is not okay. And it just went completely silent because the bride's still sitting there and she's just like, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong, the best man. So he kind of is like laughing, thinks it's funny, and goes like that to get frosting off of it and licks it. He's like, at least you picked a good cake flavor. Can't say the same thing about your wife. And I'm just sitting there like,
No.
he has issues
It
with the
keeps
bride.
getting worse.
Like, yeah. So I was like, we need to go. This is not okay.
No.
It,
That's like something you see in a movie. I
it
cannot believe that.
so bad. They're still married, I think, because they were going to come to our wedding because they had become like really, really good family friends out there. And I had no family in Georgia. So people were like, oh, we'll adopt you. You'll be in our family now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, they were still married in March. So
Yeah. Oh
hopefully they
my
still are. I'm not
gosh.
sure.
I would be livid at the best man because I mean that's one of the things too that you always hear is like don't if you're gonna give a speech, don't drink too much before. Keep it very like classy. If you can't handle your liquor, maybe don't give a speech. I just say I've definitely been to a wedding where the best man drank too much, but like you could tell they handed the microphone off to a different groomsman and he was reading the speech and he
Yeah.
like kept pointing because the guy was just like out of it. And that's just yeah.
I've seen a bunch of people now, especially like the 2025 brides. They're like, the rules for my wedding. I see it a lot with my videos because these are my rules for labor, like when I have kids, especially with the holidays and stuff, because I have a friend who's due 2 days before Christmas and they're not married, like they're just dating. But the boyfriend's mom is like, oh, well, like we're going to be over there. You'll be out of the hospital on Christmas, so we'll just meet you at the house. She's like, no, I don't want that. So, like, these are the rules with my newborn. This is what you have to do. People have been starting to do that with their weddings. Like I've noticed it a lot with the 2025 brides. They're like, these are the rules for my wedding. And they've been getting so much like backlash and everything for it.
Mm.
And especially one of the things that kind of upset people a little bit with our wedding is that we were doing a kids-free wedding. And that's just what we wanted to do because it's not like we were purposely excluding them. Like if there would have been enough kids for them to play with each other, it would have been fine. But like if it's one kid and she's 4, she's not going to want to hang out with all the adults and everything and stuff like that. So people have been like, oh, we're having a child-free wedding. And people on the internet are like, that's so selfish. You can't do that. It's about family. And the brides are like, it's my day.
Yep.
Like, I understand it. Like, if you were excluding one child specifically and like all these other ones could come to it. But people have been going kind of feral with what they want to do for their weddings.